What's up, guys? We are back with another Gundam Universe review, taking a look at a figure that I've really been looking forward to because it's from one of my favorite Gundam shows. We're taking a look at the Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory GP01 full BURNERN version. So we're taking a look at, the main suit from the show. It, of course, comes in standard style packaging for the line. It's a normal suit. So you've got a really cool shot of artwork of the GP01 on the front, figure in the window. You've got that blue sort of swipe down the side to match the color of the suit. You've got a product shot on one spine, and then the back of the box showcases some of the articulation of this thing, as well as a really big product shot of it blasting into space. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Gundam Universe GP01 full BURNERN. I'm really surprised that we're getting this figure before we're getting the regular GP01. Not that they're repaints of each other, because they're really not. This is, of course, the rebuilt GP01 after it gets absolutely trashed. So it has a lot of changes. Like, the profile is entirely different. Of course, it has the thrusters on the back. It changes its color scheme in many ways. So it's similar but different. It's just kind of odd that we got this one first. I'm not exactly complaining because I like both for different reasons. This show and the other related Universal Century OVAs are some of my favorite when it comes to Gundam in general, so I will never be unhappy about getting stuff from this era. So let's see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. He is going to be limited. I'll say that right off the bat. There are some areas where he is very locked down, some areas where it's surprisingly well articulated, though. Kind of the name of the game for this line. We've got a head that can look up a little bit, look down a little bit. This is always kind of a lockdown area. Tilt side to side, full rotation. If you want more articulation, that's what the Robot Spirits is for. I collect both for various reasons. We've got arms that can go out at the shoulders. The shoulder armor, the shoulder pads, the thrusters will move up out of the way. You, of course, can rotate. There is a ball peg that goes into the arm, and it's what allows sort of this pseudo butterfly joint. It's not actually a butterfly, but, the motion is the same. It's just very minor. You've got a bicep swivel. We've got tremendous range on this elbow here. And then you've got your typical ball peg wrist, so up and down, in and out, and all around. The torso is very locked down. You can swivel side to side a little bit, not too bad, and then you can sort of shimmy back and forth. But this is essentially a non-point of articulation. It doesn't really do anything. Legs can kick forward just about all the way despite that skirt armor. The kick backwards is unencumbered. You've got kick out pretty far if you move that skirt piece out of the way. You do have your thigh cut up there. We've got a pretty decently articulated knee. It's not the most attractive visually, but it works pretty well, especially for such a big leg. The ankles are relatively hindered, though, and that's because of the design. This is a spacesuit at this point, so it doesn't really need an ankle pivot, I guess, so it doesn't get any. So there is a slight ankle hinge forward and backward, but there's more if you actually push it all the way, because there's like an armature that goes up into the lower part of the leg that actually moves as well. And then you've got some twist down here, and there is a rocker. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't any, but it's essentially useless. It doesn't do anything. Now, we've also got the backpack and the thrusters to talk about. These will hinge in and out. They peg into the backpack, and they swivel up and down, and then they can rotate on their own little joint right there. So these are all separate pieces. You have to pop them in together, put it together once you get it out of the box. But these do afford a little bit dynamic posing. They're probably the most articulated thing here just because there's nothing to get in their way. So he moves all right. Like, I'm very much expecting this to move this way. Like, it's very much in line with the majority of Gundam Universe. There are some figures that move a lot better and some figures that move a lot worse. This guy is very much kind of middle of the pack for me. Now, as far as the overall look and feel, I think this looks really solid. It's a big, chunky mobile suit in many ways. Not just the fact that it has, the big backpack and the thrusters on it, but everything from like the waist down, classic Gundam, big, chunky legs. There are a few things that I know should be different on this, but probably within the confines of this line, it's just not ever going to happen. But what I do like at face value is the sizing, the shape, the colors, the blue and the yellow and the red on that torso absolutely pop. I know for certain this figure could probably use some panel lining. I say that a lot with these figures in general, but this one is definitely like a factory fresh. Like, literally, this suit gets rebuilt. So this is the brand new Gundam GP01. So it's looking like it came right out of, right out of the engineering bay or something like that. But it could definitely use some panel lining because there is a lot of just white with nothing on it. And that is definitely an area of concern in some ways, because things like these little, I don't know what they're supposed to be, these little circles, and like these thrusters in particular on the shoulder pads, those are supposed to be red. There should usually be some like red within the engines as well on the back. That's not a big problem. These could probably be changed, and it would make them pop quite a bit more to have these be red instead of just white. But the overall sculpt is really, really nice. The blue, the yellow, the red, again, is tremendously well done. A lot of it, though, not exactly paintwork. It's different pieces that are connected to the frame. Because this thing, well, this line in general, is very much like a model kit line that's been turned into action figures. And that's the only way I've ever really been able to describe it. A lot of the construction, very, very model kit-esque, which I suppose, when we're talking about Gundam, isn't too far-fetched. It is, again, a very thick and chunky suit, from everything down to the big calves that it has to the thrusters on the back, but the sizing and the proportions look pretty good. It's maybe not exact, but it looks pretty solid to me, and I'm really, really happy with this head sculpt. There is a lot of color, a lot that just pops on this, from the yellow Vulcans, and then of course, you know, you've got your V and your cheeks that are red, and the beard basically. But like the rangefinder up on top has this sort of like metallic coating to it. Same here on the chest, and I do really, really like that. It's just, as if it hits the light in the right way, just sort of pops. We do have some beam saber hilts that are removable. We'll talk about these a bit more. They peg into the backpack, so they add a little bit more pop and just more height to this suit in some ways. But I think it looks really solid. I would really like to see a Gundam Universe regular GP01 alongside this. You know, get that slightly smaller suit with that shield and have them paired up on a shelf. I think would be really cool. But I'm really happy with this. It's big, it's bulky, it does suffer in that regard in terms of articulation in a few areas, but I think it looks really, really good, and it's going to pop on a shelf specifically because of all of this color on the torso and the face. Now, as far as accessories goes, the GP01 comes with a few things. You know, within the context of this line, I'm getting exactly what I expected to get. You're getting like the base amount of accessories and weapons that you would expect to find with maybe something like a robot spirit. So to start with, we get extra hands, so you do get fists on him in the box. We get a trigger finger right hand, and you also will get a gripping left hand. So you've got a gun hand and a beam saber hand. And we have the beam rifle here. And this looks pretty good. There is actually some paint on a weapon for a change. It's pretty uncommon. So like this scope has paint on it. Now this thing, if it's the one I'm thinking of, this is the one that has the jute or whatever it's called. That's like a little mini beam saber knife almost that's supposed to catch beam sabers on the gun. This does not have that. I believe this is the one that has it because it's got that little port right there. I'm not surprised it doesn't have it, but I'd have liked to have seen it. The gun looks good, though. It's really big, and I do like the fact that that scope actually has some paint on it. We do, of course, as I've already mentioned, get two beam saber hilts, and they peg into the backpack. This is, of course, what your gripping hand is for, and you can pop your beam saber beam onto that. We only get one, which is pretty normal for this line. I would have liked to have gotten two beams, but I have so many at this point, it really doesn't matter. But you do get this, and just like what I mentioned with the Leo from the same wave, it does look like they are changing how they do beam sabers, or at least the beams, and this is a matte finish versus what they've historically done in this line as being metallic. I do still like the metallic idea, but this I suppose is a little bit more, you know, animation-y. So because they're not exactly metallic in the show. So he comes with a few things, pretty good stuff. I mean, I would have liked to have gotten more, but when it comes to getting a figure that has all of this extra stuff with the backpack, similar to like how we've done with the tall geese and things like that, and the wing, for example, figures that have extra attachments usually don't get as much stuff. So to get the normal assortment, I'm still pretty happy with it. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this guy. It does have some limitations, and I mean, that's kind of the name of the game when it comes to this line in general. The design really does preclude incredibly dynamic movement without making this thing far more articulated, and that's what Robot Spirits is for. This is not that same kind of line, and I understand that. I think it looks great, though. I'm really happy with how chunky it is. It's very, very beefy, you know, because this particular suit does get a crazy upgrade, and it changes the entire profile, and a lot of that is translated pretty nicely here. I like, you know, the big boosters on the back. They really add some size and some depth. The only real thing that I would say that this suit might need is maybe a touch of panel lining, just because there's so much white on it. Normally I wouldn't care, but there's so much just white on this thing that could use a little hit here and there. Otherwise, The colors pop, looks good, sized well, comes with a solid array of accessories. Not a ton of stuff, but it comes with the base amount you need. So yeah, pretty cool figure, and I'm hoping to get more 0083 stuff. So that's going to do it for this look at the Gundam Universe GP01 full burner. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.